believe we in the building. We are in the building. What's up? What's up, Facebook? It's your man ANT. We are back with another edition of moMENtum. We're back with another episode. I got my big homies on here with me. I got my man Jay Uni in the building. I got my man Marquise Mason. He in the building with us today. Marquise a new dad, so we're gonna have to mess with him a little bit on the broadcast today. But fellas, before we get into the heavy stuff, man, I always like to, because I know Jamal is like the NBA fiend. How you feeling about what's happening, man?
Oh man, I'm enjoying it. I think the playoffs are gonna be crazy and insane. I think there are gonna be some surprises. Maybe not necessarily upsets, but I do think people are gonna give some other teams a real run for their money. Like I think Toronto is gonna be taking to more games than they should because Karis LeVert is a problem.
Karis LeVert. Okay. What about you, Marquise? Yeah, I know you.
It's been a little strange for me, but like what I'm realizing about the bubble is that you can kind of see who's really hoopers and who is. It's like you can see who loves to play basketball, who actually thoroughly loves to play it, and then kind of people who just play it. Yeah. And within that, you can just. It's kind of crazy. You can just kind of see like who really is about basketball. So
the thing that jumps out to me, man, is that like in the playoffs, right, home court advantage is like so pivotal. But now, like who has it, right? Like you said, it ain't about where we're at. It's actually who's on the court now. And so for some veterans, I think that's good. But for young cats, I think that's good too, because you know the nerves that come with playing. And like, think about it.
These young cats feel like it's an AAU game.
That's what I'm saying. Like Game 6 in LA is different than Game 6 in the bubble. Like it's just different. So it'll be some good stuff. So we just talking about sports. We all love sports on here. So if you're watching the live feed on Facebook, make sure you call your friends in, get your friends in, because we are gonna go a little deep talking about stuff that's specific to our communities, but that affect men in every community around this nation. And honestly, violence is a thing that impacts us all over this world. So Jamal, thinking about that and talking about the bubble, do you even notice the social justice messages now?
Yeah, I think I've been paying closer attention to them. One, that was my thought process behind them. When some of them were like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do it because I don't want to take away." I was like, "Man, nobody has seen sports in months. If you do something like they did with the court, how they did with the back of the uniforms, like all eyes will be on it." But I've even seen like some of the foreign players having messages in different languages on the back, so it's like made me pay attention even more and been trying to figure out what it is that they got on their shirt on the back of the jersey.
What about you? Have you enjoyed it, Marquise? You think it's doing anything? You think it's
I'm like 50-50 about it. Like I love it that it's happening. I love that they really are that they are putting their money where their mouth is. What I'm concerned about is how the messages are being or how it's coming across, right? Yeah. Like you see the names and you see the stuff on the court and the jerseys and stuff, but like what else are they doing? And I guess that's the part where like we really don't hear is what are they doing outside of the bubble or how they contributing? Like I know LeBron just I know he just bought out or like did something with the LA Dodgers stadium. So
for voting.
So he like bought that out.
Drew Holiday
turned into a polling place.
Drew Holiday donating his salary from what he did in the bubble to the movement. So there are players doing stuff. But I mean that's always the question when you're looking at some of the stuff that's going on with the marching and protesting and all that other stuff, and then it's like, all right, so after we walked, now what?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So to me, the thing is, I don't want the message to become, because it's this thing, because it happened with hip hop, right? It's the commercialization of right? The message. And that's not what I want to see happen. That people get so used to saying this that it's not like, you know what I'm saying? It don't move you anymore, right? Like right now when people see, like if I went and stood on the corner and held up a Black Lives Matter sign, some people gonna be like, get the fuck off the intersection. Like, but like, I don't want it to ever be a point where it's like, okay, yeah, Black Lives Matter. Just kind of, you know, move on
Right.
to that next thing. Like it's insignificant. So that's the only thing for me. And honestly, it'd be hard to read some of those messages on the back of the jerseys. I'll be like, try to read and see what's going on, but it's hard. I'll be like, what? But I just don't want the message to get lost, to get commercialized, and for it to become something that organizations do to actually benefit themselves, right? To benefit their bottom line and to get with the struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Have y'all noticed? Have y'all seen ESPN's new radio lineup?
Nope.
Like,
No, but if it's anything like what companies have been doing, I'm sure it's more diverse all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
Which is going to be the case with anything. Now it's, you know, I think about the Silicon Valley. They just came out with something. They just released their diversity records like a couple weeks ago, and the CEO literally, or like the big tech CEO guy, whatever, he just said, when people asked him for it before, he said no because he didn't want to reinforce the stereotype that Silicon Valley is white.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just released it, and it's like 2% diverse.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the morning show man is Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn, the wide receiver. That's his last name, right?
Yeah.
Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Will, and then so Jay Williams and some other dude I don't know. I was like, well, that's a far departure from what we were used to in the morning time on ESPN. So I ain't hating on them. Like if they gonna give brothers a platform, but ain't nobody, you know, who's been pressing me like a lot, and people make fun of him because of how he talks. Shannon Sharp, man.
Hey, you know what? Shannon Sharp is a gem, man. We gotta protect him at all costs.
Shannon Sharp is I just watched a portion of something he did talking about. I'm forgetting specifically what he was talking about, but he broke it all the way down. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like they need to bring back Jamel Hill then.
Who? Oh yeah. Well, they ain't gonna bring her back.
They ain't gonna bring her back because she was gonna keep it real.
Well, she specifically spoke against the president, and you know they can't do like politics. So they probably she good where she at too, because she like people asking her if she want to come back. She like, no, I'll stay where I'm at.
Right.
She got her own podcast, got her own all of that stuff. So I think she good. But for the people out there listening, man, we gonna get into this because this was something that was on my heart. And just something I wanted us as a community to be able to talk about. I wanted to get with some brothers and we can just kind of have a dialogue about what's happening. So, right, the theme of this show today was what's going on, right? What's going on in our community, what's going on in our state, what's going on in our nation, in terms of violence, violence in our city, you know, violence in cities that surround where we are, and then approaching all of these questions from the standpoint of men, and how do we help? How do we contribute? How do we play a part in what's happening as young men? How do we play a part as fathers? All of that stuff in between. And so, just your initial thoughts, man, as you think about what's going on. Either one of you can jump in here. What the hell is going on, man? What's going on out here?
For me, and this is something that like I've expressed on like a multitude of platforms and people that, you know, work on the ground level, but if I'm just talking about Madison, man, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do in Madison, right? And the stuff that we do have readily available, most kids can't afford, right? So Madison, I mean, all the crime is happening between the ages of 12 and like 18, like the adolescent ages, right? The middle school, high school ages, and it's because there's nothing to do. Like I'm thankful for sports, but if I didn't have sports, I'd be like one of these knucklehead kids out here too. There's not enough to do, and people don't believe in community centers. People don't believe that it's nothing but like a place for kids to go play, not realizing that they do a bunch of stuff. And I'm not talking about every community center, because every community center does what they need to do, right? But the goal of community centers usually is to get kids off the street and have them, give them another pathway. But that's just not the case. And then you have all these community centers fighting for a pot.
Yeah.
From the city. And so now we become silos that are all working together.
Absolutely. What about you, J Mal? What's going on, man?
Man, I don't know, and it hurts because, you know, this is home. This is where I grew up, and it's not the same city anymore. It wasn't nothing to do when we were younger either. But like I said, the city is not the same. Like, some of the stuff that is going on recently wasn't necessarily going on, or maybe to the extreme that it is now. And it's sad. It hurts me because now I've got daughters that are at that age where they're in the middle of it, and they're trying to find themselves and trying to figure out what to do, where to go, how to maneuver, and become of age, because, you know, one is a teenager, the other one is knocking on teenager's door, and I'm kind of like nervous about what their future will look like. I can do what I can as their father and give them the game and give them the knowledge and speak from my experiences. But, you know, like I said, the city isn't the same as it was when we were growing up.
So for me, I see it's it's definitely like some of what Marquise was sharing. It's some of what, right, you're sharing. These kids are different, but the reason they're different, I feel, is because we're missing that generational connection, right? Because the thing that right, we was bored as hell too.
Hold on, hey, let me call y'all right back. I'm in
all right, that's cool.
area.
Yep, that's cool. I did some crazy stuff growing up, right? And I did some crazy stuff I didn't get caught for.
Right.
And it was during that age. So I know what that's like. Right. But I also had people that snatched me back and was like, look, fool, just because you didn't get caught this one time does not mean this is the road you should keep going down. And like, I see adults, man, that are afraid of our kids. Like, I don't know if you see that, but I see adults that are afraid of our kids. And these kids peep that. So guess what? When you that age, what you starting to do? You starting to feel yourself. You starting to figure out like what it is for you to be in this world. And so if you see older people scared of you, you're gonna take advantage of that. So it's like we can't be afraid to connect with this generation. And that's what I had. Somebody would put their foot in my ass. Somebody I didn't know would tell my mama something about me, even if I didn't see them, even if I didn't know they were around when I did what I did. But like, man, I was always afraid that somebody.
I had that too. I had people that would let me know, like, yo, that ain't cool. That ain't what you're supposed to do. Break it down to me in a way that it made sense. And, you know, I guess I was thankful and appreciative that somebody took any energy or time to say anything to me when they ain't have to.
Yeah.
And I try and keep that same energy going, like, to the point where even Alana, my youngest, has said, we were at, I think I went to pick her up from school, and some kid was acting a plum fool in the library. And I went over to him and talked to him for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then me and Alana went on and handled the business that I was there for. She was just like, Dad, why'd you say something? And I was like, because if I don't, who will, and who's going to make sure that he understands that that's not right, or what he's doing isn't the appropriate thing.
And the reason I bring that up is because we got some of the same situations they dealt with. We ain't have dads in the crib, right? We grew up without, like, I grew up watching addiction. I never grew up seeing marriage. I never grew up seeing healthy relationships. But what I did have was that connection to people that say, hey, young blood, I know you ain't never seen this, or maybe you haven't seen it, but there's a better way, right? It was people in the community. It was people in my high school. It was people like in my school. Like when I was in middle school, I had this choir teacher, black man. Like, it was my first time ever singing a gospel song. But this man, like, told me, he was like, you can sing. And I'm like, man, I can't sing, man. I don't do that. I don't do that. Like, I can't sing. I don't do that. He said, no, you're going to sing. And he had me lead this song in front of the whole school, in front of everybody. And although I was nervous, when it was done, I was like, wow, he really saw that I could be that and do that before I ever could. And he used to always stay on me about realizing that I had a gift and utilizing it. So that's what I think the difference is, because we didn't have nothing either, right? We didn't have nothing to do either, but we had that connection with the generation above us, those aunties, those uncles, those cousins.
But also, we did also have a lot of OGs that was in the neighborhood that told us, like, oh, this ain't what y'all want to be doing.
And that's what I was gonna say too.
Go ahead.
We ain't got, yeah. Basically, what Jamal said is like, ain't no OGs no more. Like, there was people that looked out for me and just said, hey, I did this didn't work. I can see the path that you're on. Like, don't do that. We don't have that no more.
Right, they're more or less recruiting.
Huh?
They recruiting, like, instead of telling them, no, that ain't it, they're like, oh, come on, let me put you on.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and then we also, right, we live in a city that I call a refuge city, right, where we have some cats who come from bigger, more dangerous cities who come here, and then they like, oh, this sweet out here. Let me establish myself as something that I never was, so I can look good and feel good and project an image that's not really who I am. And like you said, there's no OGs to be like, nah, you ain't official, homie. You ain't thorough. Get the hell up out of here with this nonsense. And so we keep perpetuating that thing, because people who like, oh, we have a gang problem here in Madison. Let me tell you something. We got kids ain't got nothing to do, and they form cliques because that's how they care for each other problem. like ain't nobody
gangs that they didn't created. I'm like, man, you go anywhere else and say that, you gonna get whooped.
Yes.
Everybody that's been around real gangs said it's not gangs here.
Yeah. You can't tell nobody that. It's people getting paid lots of money to convince people that it's a gang problem. It's like, it's never, even with the real gangs, it was always about family, what somebody was missing, right? Like, these people brought me in when my community, when my school, when my family did not. So they became my family, right? And so if they go down a bad road, guess where I'm going to go? Because I follow my family. And so people are not realizing that that's ultimately, especially young people, right? They trying to figure it out. And they looking for a guy, they're looking for a leader. And unfortunately, they're being led by a bunch of traumatized people who ain't dealt with their own stuff, right?
Right.
So it's hard. So
also don't forget that these kids are getting hooked on drugs at an earlier age. They're doing way worse than the stuff that we saw, and doing them together.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. When I hear about like pill popping and all that,
pill popping, lean sipping, lacing weed, all that reckless stuff. Like, when I heard somebody was snorting Adderall, I was like, what?
Man,
dude,
look, look. It's crazy that, like, yeah, and they know what to look for. Like these pills that just be in the, I mean, because like growing up, you always heard about the pills that's like in the medicine cabinet, but like I was never like dumb enough to go touch those. No, these kids either taking them or they flipping them.
I'm still trying to figure out the way that they popping these pills and how they mixing all these drugs. Like the stuff that they putting in these pills and drugs and stuff. I'm like, nobody grew up aspiring to be a crackhead.
Yeah.
But these kids are like hell bent on becoming that.
But I had somebody, and I asked the kid one time, and a kid straight up told me, and I know we did different things, but they said, man, it's a way to numb this pain. It's a way to not deal with what is real life. And like, they just have access, like you said, to some better stuff that can keep
I wouldn't
them
say better.
I mean, I'm saying if their goal is to not be engaged with life,
right,
it's the top notch, right?
Right.
But the side effects and what ultimately it does to them is not to their benefit. But kids have told me, like, I had some kids in my school, man. They say, man, I've been smoking ever since I was 5th grade. My granny died.
And my thought process behind it is, after your high comes down, do you still have to deal with the same thing that was the reason you went and got high?
Yeah, but I think it's kind of universal within our community too. It's like we don't know how to properly deal with trauma and with hurt,
especially as males.
Yeah, no, like I've had to learn how to do that. You know what I mean? And like it took years. Because growing up, especially as black men, like, nah, you're taught to be the man of steel. You're taught to be Superman. You don't have feelings. You don't
show no pain. Don't show no fear.
No. You get your leg broke. You don't cry about it. You tough it out. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, obviously that's we're talking about men, but just in the black community in general, like even black women, like they're just taught to be this ultra strong people. So like, we don't know how to properly deal with our
emotions, none of it.
And so what ends up happening is, okay, yeah, I'm gonna numb it. So I'm gonna pop these pills, or like I'm gonna smoke this weed, or I'm gonna drink. You know what I mean?
And then, so here's the big thing though. As kids, and you know, we all were kids, and I think it's harder for them to realize that, Jamal, and like because kids can't see the future, because when you're a kid, you're not as much control of your life as you are as an adult, right? Like,
right.
As a kid, you're at the whim of your family, right? Like, I didn't decide to pick up and move all the times that we decided to move. My mom did that, right? So I didn't get a choice. Like, hey, and the only time I really did was when we finally moved to Milwaukee, and I was a junior, and my mom was like, "We're going back." I was like, "Nope. I finally got friends. I want to stay somewhere where I feel like I have like some roots,
a connection, right?"
Yeah, and that's when I end up living with a teacher from that school. But if it had not been for that resource, I would have been like, St. Louis was like crazy at the time, man. I had like drug dealing friends, family, everything. Like, so I know I would have took a whole nother turn in life. And so that's the thing to me that I think we got to remember with these young people, that yes, they come down from the high, but they know that they don't have as much control over their lives as they want to, as much as other people do. And so that's the hard part for me. So it's the question I had specifically dealing with us men, right? Because in light of what's happened this week in Madison with the death of the 11-year-old young lady in our community, we know that it was violence, right? And we know that it was gun violence. And we know that our emotions seem to manifest most often in violence, anger, violence. So why do you think men are so violent, man?
Well, one of the emotions that we're allowed to show is anger. I mean, societal. That's the one we're allowed to show, and it's acceptable. But you think about even when you were younger, like, you couldn't be punked. You better not get punked. Like, I learned early, because I got tired of fighting in elementary school. I literally got tired of fighting, because that's all we ended up doing was fighting all the time. I ended up learning in middle school, you were either going to be able to fight or crack jokes. Them were the only two options, or you was going to get punked. And so, you know, after being tired of fighting, I learned how to be funny and crack jokes, and people left me alone. But not everybody has this skill and continues to fight. And, you know, as you get older, the fights get worse. There's no more one-on-ones, and you're getting jumped. And after you didn't get jumped, you go get some boys, y'all end up jumping somebody. And after a while, people tired of getting jumped, and you start, defending yourself with weapons.
Right.
So, so what you got?
I was gonna say, Marquis. I was completely. I got bullied from and I had the exact action as like, stop getting punked. And then one day it just switched, and then I became the bully.
Yeah, that car ride is hell.
Yeah, you going in and out. Is that when you got bigger? That's when you got bigger, Marquis?
Once he started dunking on people, they left him alone.
That definitely was it. You was going in and out, Marquis.
Go ahead, Ant.
Well, so I think men are violent. Number one, I think we're taught to be. I think it's okay. I think so. I'm talking about like as a country, like I'm talking about years and years. Like America was birthed on this is what men are, right? And so when we were brought here as the enslaved, we just perpetuated what we saw, right? Like women were
We didn't know
considered,
the language.
yeah, women were considered property, right? And where did that come from? And so all of that stuff was instilled in us as well. And so seeing times to Jim Crow, to civil rights, to now, it's always been violence, right? We want to peacefully protest. We can get our head butt, right? We can, and it's been acceptable. We want to help another nation. What do? We go over there and we kill, right? We don't go over there and peace talk. We send soldiers. Soldiers don't go over there to hug people, right? We go over there, right? Insurgents weren't like people we're trying to have a conversation with. So I think that, like you guys said, anger is that acceptable emotional expression from men, and then violence is also acceptable. Like literally, you could beat your wife and it wasn't an issue, right? Like,
until what? Maybe the 60s.
I want to say 60s.
I think maybe a little later than that, because we learned about, because Wisconsin had a big hallmark case that really made domestic violence an upfront thing, where the police, this lady called the police, said my man was abusing me. They said, well, that's a domestic thing you guys got to figure out. Let her go. Dude ended up killing her like a couple hours later or something. She was just with the police like, hey, this dude gonna kill me. And so that's like where a lot of the laws where they got to arrest somebody if they come to a domestic dispute. And that was right here in this state. But like, man, men didn't see women, and they still don't, but there was a time where like a woman couldn't even think about calling an officer or going to court. And so we watch that and we see that women are to be what women are less than. And when we get angry over our ability to not control everything else in our lives, who do we try to control? We try to control the people closest to us with violence.
Right.
So, and you can go ahead again if you got a good signal right now. You said you used to get bullied, and then you became a bully.
So yeah. So basically, Sharice stepped into my life and said, "You're just too big to be hitting people. Like, you can kill them." So like, that's when I stopped. But like, yeah, my whole thing was, I became the man of the house at like 10. So like, I just couldn't show emotion, even though I had it. I just wasn't allowed to do it. So like, I've dealt with that all the way to like, kind of like what we discussed, Anthony. I got into college and I was like, then I learned how to properly deal with it. Mm-hmm. And then I realized like, no, it's not soft or whatever to express yourself, but we just don't have the culture and what manhood stands for, especially within our community as well. Like, no, it's either you mad or it's nothing.
Yep. And we know that the anger is just a symptom, right? It's not the root.
Yeah.
But we don't really delve into that, what it looks like, and really pushing. And that could be because men, right, wrote all the laws. Men like so. Part of it is our privilege, right? That men are ultimately in control of these things, and they determine, what needs to happen. And so,
Make sure to specify which men created those things.
Well, white men
definitely wasn't for us.
Yeah, right. White men created the laws, and they create things but I'm saying the violence that we saw, through our experience starting as enslaved people is just something we embody, right? We learn from what we saw because we had to learn a new culture. We had to become new people in this place. And so to me, like, I grew up, my mom, like the dude my mom loved the most used to beat her like all the time, bro. And I remember first time it happened, I'm a kill dude. Like, first couple times I'm crying, me and my sister's crying. I'm like, I'm a kill dude. Like, I'm gonna get a knife, I'm gonna stab him. And I remember, my mom would cry and she would go back. So at first I would be mad, like, you crying when he hit you, but you go back. And so in my little young mind, after a while, I start to think, well, maybe this is what love looked like.
Right.
Maybe this is cool because it's what I'm seeing. It's the example that's in front of me. And like she didn't break out the minute it happened. So there must be, right, this gray area. It isn't just black and white. And so for me, that was the moment where I kind of said to myself consciously, I don't want to be that. But everything that I was seeing, everything that was being taught was that I would eventually lead to being that type of dude.
And which is also something, you know, we touched on before about the blueprint that you have seen at, you know, growing up on what it is that you want or going to do or whatever the case is. But like that was your vision or version of what you saw and thought love was. For me, I didn't see the male female interaction to show or express love at all. Like I don't remember ever seeing my mom date ever, so I never even saw what it looked like for a man and a woman to share love and express it to each other.
Yeah, for me, my mom had relationships, but like I was the one that she had to warn all her boyfriends about. So like, just because once one dude broke her heart, I was like, all right, you don't need to go through this no more. So like, I want to check out the dude to make sure he's here to stay. And so I don't know if that probably was a detriment or not, but like, yeah, it's just one of the. I was just super protective, so I used to like to see my mom hurt, so I did whatever I had to do.
Oh yeah, as a man, and you come into a blended family, if a mom older son, it's definitely like it's a thing, right? And that's where you don't like if it's like my sons, like I want my sons to know like we're not in a competition, man. Like I'm your father and I want to teach you things. I want to teach you to be strong. But like I want you to know that your response to everything does not have to be this aggression and this just uncontrollable rage, because you can't be in control of everything, right? The only thing we're actually in control of is ourselves. And as men, we were taught that we could be in control of a lot more stuff than we are actually in control of. And so that's what. So this week, you know, when I found out about the young lady that got, so I don't know if y'all know too, it was also a father, a white guy in Madison that killed his daughter. Right?
Yeah,
they don't talk about that because, you know, of course it's the black
not
on black.
Popular right now.
Yeah, it's the black on black because we got to get back to that. Why are y'all? But both of them are tragic, right? This dude, I think, like stabbed his daughter to death. She was like 13, and like injured somebody else that was there. Might have been her friend. But I'm like, that's always our expression as men when we can't control those things. We think, even our kids, because I know we think we do, but ultimately our job is not to control them, it's to guide them, right?
Right.
And
so
so
they can make those decisions for themselves, the right decisions.
Yeah. And so, but I think we think that consciously, but deep down we feel like, nope, I'm going, make it happen. And when this young lady, man, when I first heard she got shot, first off, I got a 10-year-old daughter. So I'm crying, man. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Cause as a father, I don't know where your mind goes, but I know where my mind goes. Like I couldn't, like I just cried, bro. Cause I'm like, I don't know who would be able to stop me from not making it another homicide.
Oh no, but that's immediately what I thought about. Was like, nah, I'm like if especially if, I don't know the whole situation, but like, nah, I'm gonna flip the city over looking for whoever did it, and I'm not gonna stop until I do, and then it's just gonna have to be what it is when I get there.
And I haven't even been able to put myself in that same situation or mindset just because, and so like I know I spent a little more time with my girls this week. Like I hugged them a little tighter. I made sure that we did some things together more than we normally would. Like when they'll be like, "No, Dad, I don't want to do this." I'm like, "No, we gonna do this this week. We gonna do it."
Yeah. Right. Because and I'll tell you why I know it's that deep for me, because my previous marriage, right? My ex, she like called me and was playing a practical joke. She told me like one of my kids that got injured had like broken a bone, and I promise you, man, I felt the most visceral reaction. Like I felt it in my body. I just felt like not my child, not my kid. Like I just felt over like, and I had never experienced that until that moment. And I was like, yeah, this fatherhood stuff is like like it hit. I was like,
I had a bad argument with an ex a while back, and you know, me and her were having an issue, but she brought them into the argument, and like I could feel me turn red, and it was like rage inside of me, like, yo, they ain't got nothing to do with this. This is between me and you. Don't bring them into this ever again. Like it was like real cut, simple and dry. Like don't do it. That's off limits. And if you decide to do that again, there are gonna be some serious problems. And I felt it like you said, like it was just something that took over your body, and you weren't the same person for that moment.
Oh, I definitely, and yeah, I definitely felt it. I definitely felt it, man.
And I mean, I haven't had it yet. My guy's about to be 5 months in a couple of days, so I'm still
no, this ain't the honeymoon phase. Your sleep pattern is jacked up, but
oh no, it's not. No,
you sleep through the night?
Yeah. Oh no, he's been sleeping great for since 2 months.
So he killed all that,
like, right?
But he is.
Just wait. Wait until right now he needs you and mom for everything. Wait till they start. Well, when the first time they hit you with like, no, I can do it myself. That's going. You go. What? Hold on. It's gonna catch you off guard.
Yeah, and that connection is super, super real. And the reason why I wanted us to talk about like this violence and like anger, because it's something that, like you said, when we don't deal with our trauma, when we don't deal with our stuff, that's more likely to take over us than any other thing. And I'll tell you, like, I came from, like, I'm gonna tell you one time, man, my cousin, and he don't mind me sharing this story, but like, my mom was addicted to drugs most of my life, and like just trauma. I'm talking about sexual trauma, like all kind of stuff. And I remember my cousin was ironing his clothes, and I was standing by him, and we were talking, and he thought he was a comedian. He was saying something. I think he said something about my mama, about her being a crackhead. Promise you, I blacked out, woke up, he had an iron on his back. Oh. And I don't remember doing it, and I was just like, that's not good. Right. So that's when I knew that's how stuff manifests into violence. Because my intention wasn't that, but where he took me in that moment, I felt like it was challenging everything in my manhood. And like, you don't know my pain, so why would you play with my pain like that? And right. It just manifests itself to him having an iron burn on his back for, I think it still might be faintly there. But it was,
I guarantee it's still there.
It's still there. I mean, you burnt meat. It's not like, you burnt skin.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and that forced me to really start to look at myself and say, there's some stuff that I need to fix, because this anger thing is real. So here I got a question for y'all. I'm gonna pop it up there, see if y'all can see. It says, as Black fathers, how do we help our own children process violence, whether it's racial, sexual, or systemic racism? How do we help our children process that?
I think the conversations is very, 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 very helpful. Bringing awareness to a lot of the things. But when I got triggered.
Yeah.
That will take me to where it might be another homicide. Like, as soon as I read that part, I'm like, oh man, if we take that part out, I can have a conversation about racial stuff.
But when you got girls, you gotta have those conversations.
I have the conversations with both of them all the time to make sure that they're not putting themselves in certain situations. Make sure that they know what is acceptable, what isn't. And make sure I am the first one that they call if they feel uncomfortable about anything.
That's it, man. Like,
Yeah.
Marquise, I know you new in the game, but if you can imagine, right, what type of conversation or, like what you hope for your kids.
I just realized like communication is like the key, man. And like, even if it means over communicating, like I just want me and my son to have that open relationship where he can talk to me about anything. Where he doesn't, he's not scared to talk to me about something that happened or something that he may be experiencing. And I guess like I don't know exactly how that's gonna play out, you know what I mean? But I just hope that, when he's a little bit older, that he's able to come to me about anything he needs to come to me about. Because I know, first he's gonna deal with a lot of things. He's biracial, so he's gonna deal with am I black enough, am I white enough? He's gonna deal with that. And that's a whole separate issue that is never ending. Sexually, I guess he gonna understand the importance of no, and no, and what exactly no means. So I mean, I guess
in both ways.
Yeah, no, seriously, and just the importance of speaking up when he sees things. And I think I was taught, and I think we all kind of, but like I was taught not to bring attention to myself. So I didn't speak up about a lot of stuff. I saw it, I knew it was wrong, but my mom's thought was always make it home at night. So I don't speak up about stuff. So I want to make sure that he feels comfortable enough to do that.
Absolutely. For me, man, helping our children, like, definitely communication. I've never been afraid to share my shortcomings with my children, particularly my boys.
Yeah.
Because they, I hear them talking with their friends. I hear them with their jokes. And I'm like, man, y'all still doing that stuff like that we did when we were young? And so for me, that's frustrating because I try to show them in the relationships I have with women in my life how for the most part that should look. Not that I'm perfect, not that I haven't failed sometimes, but I try to be that demonstration. But then I also try to communicate to them like what it's going to look like, and that like this stuff, y'all, like we had a talk about, right, the use of the word gay. And I'm just like, I don't know why that thing continues to stick, but I'm like people in your family are gay, right? You probably have friends that are gay, and the way you communicated about it, your friends who are gay would never ever tell you about it because it seems like a negative thing still with young people. And
well, so it isn't accepted in our community though. That's why. Like it's better now, but like it's
way better than when we were kids.
Yeah, but it's still widely not accepted in our community. So like they joke about it like we did because it's just something that I guess you didn't run into it. We run into it more now, which is great, and I love it that it's so open because we shouldn't really discriminate against anybody. But at the time, I didn't really experience that until I got older.
Yeah, and I'll throw my son off about it because whenever he's doing that, I'll say something like, "If you're trying to tell me something, man, I'm gonna love you no matter what."
Right.
Like that's the whole thing I want them to see. Like it's not for you to make, because when you say it that way, it has a negative connotation.
Right.
Like it ain't like when you saying, "Oh man, that's dope." No, it ain't got that connotation. It has a negative one. So we need to understand that when you're talking about a group of people, you can't use them as a negative connotation. They are who they are, right? And that ain't got nothing to do with you. You gonna be who you are. And so, yeah, as a dad, man, it's hard trying to, and then all the other stuff, like you said, we got to deal with racism. Like you said, your mama was telling you stuff based on you being a black boy in Madison, and she didn't want you to, right, fall into some traps or get, like, because what happened to my man Cephas. I was like,
that is our mother's biggest fear for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was like, when that happened, I was like, see, that's what, like, and I pray for y'all brothers, especially them athletes. I'm like, because a lot of that stuff look good, and
probably be great up until
it ain't. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we gotta have those conversations. We gotta be open to talk to our kids, and we gotta be open to hearing their point of view too. So we can't like I can't try to control the conversation. I can just try to share the wisdom that I have with my kids. So man, I appreciate y'all being on with us, man. I don't know if you watched it last week, Marquise, but I gotta put this thing up because my boy on here. I think I did I erase it? No, I don't think I erased it. Here we go. My man Jamal just published a book, so it's right there. It's called The Determination to Succeed by Jamal Eubanks. He just had a book signing on Saturday, man. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I was in Milwaukee, but I'm sending you all of the positive vibes. But
Man,
you want to talk a little bit about it?
It was a good turnout. Nobody really just stayed for the entire time, but the traffic stayed consistent. I enjoyed everybody that came out and showed love. I've gotten some good feedback about it. Everybody loves it. People have talked about how dope the introduction was, which is really what hooked them. Yeah, man, I was excited to do it, and just yesterday was like the happiest I had been in a while, and so I just was super thankful and appreciative. Vernon came through and did some pictures. I posted those today. 40 rounds. Terrence Thompson did the music, and we just rocked out and had a great time, man. I'm just hoping anybody that's still looking to get copies. I still have some physical copies. I'll probably order some more physical copies for people that are around the city and just in close proximity, and then people who are further away. Go ahead and order online. So yeah, man, it was great.
So Marquise, you got to get a copy, man. Everybody on here got a copy except you.
All right, no, I'll get one. I'm due for that and the onesie, so I got to pick up both of those.
Yeah, and Marquise me and Marquise have connected on a couple times. He came in and spoke to the girls with the mentoring program before too.
Yeah,
that's love. Yeah, he came over for some stuff when he was with Kennedy Heights with me. So, like he said, we gotta stay out of the silos, and we gotta stay connected with the work that we're doing. And so a big thing that I continue to push, and one of the ways that I know I can impact the world is through my music. So if you're listening, check out A&T the Hope Boy on all your music platforms. You see it right there. You see it. I'm shining. My wife got me this. So shout out to her. But I was reminded yesterday, I was at an event in Milwaukee where I got a chance to rap, perform. But the event was about gun violence, stopping gun violence. And what they actually did, they have a metal forge there. They actually take guns that have been surrendered and melt them down right there and turn them into garden tools. So, they turn them, they take them from being a weapon to a tool for life, to grow food and to plant food. And so I thought that was pretty dope and real symbolic. But I was just reminded that like this music thing is part of my purpose. It's not to try to be famous, but it's just to give a positive message to young people. And like when kids are alone by themselves and they pop those headphones in, I want to be one of the messages that they're listening to, because I know a lot of the times, all of the messages that they're listening to are not encouraging them, are not giving them hope, and not giving them the strength to move on and to fight on. So make sure y'all, A&T the Hope Boy. This is it, man. Look it up, search the brand, all that good stuff. Marquise, what you got going on, man, that you want people to know about or working on?
Man, I'm working on entrepreneurship right now, but my biggest thing really is just, man, I just want to be a outlet for kids, man. Like I'm a walking plan B, if that makes sense. I am the kid that has sports.
Wait. You got to.
Yeah, I know. That's why
plan B. I was like,
That's why I had to explain. Meaning like, I was the kid that had sports dreams, hoop dreams, that wanted to be in the league, and it didn't happen. But that didn't stop me from getting my degree.
Right.
And then going into the field that I wanted to get into. So my for anything, I want to be a staple of, hey, life isn't over once sports stop. You got so much life left and so many other things you can do outside of sports. So that's kind of just the stable I want to be right now.
Absolutely. Make sure I put up my one thing. So we also have, it's a couple of websites I like to put up there for people. So it's this dope website called therapyforblackmen.org. They have a lot of resources, a lot of stories, a lot of things that will help you if you want to get therapy, if you want to talk to somebody about stuff that you experience, about your trauma, all of that good stuff, man. It's a great place for resources. So it is right specifically for Black men. So the stuff that we experience, the stuff that we go through. Let me see. Also, this is another place, stuff is going virtual, right? And this was before COVID, but in like COVID, websites like Talkspace.com, where you can match up with counselors, therapists, is another good place to get some help. You can text your therapist. Like, it's dope. Like you.
And let's make it clear that there's nothing wrong with going to therapy. I'll be having my first consultation for therapy tomorrow. So
come on now, there is nothing wrong.
No.
I was trying to think of a song, but it would have had to have an R. Kelly.
No, you can't do that.
Groove, so I couldn't do it. I was like, ain't nothing wrong, and I was like,
and that's it. There's just nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with going to therapy. Absolutely. Yeah. So make sure you do that. And so this was I had this last time we talked, Jamal, when Joe was on there, for all my single people. You see it? Black Christian mingle. I was like, my wife put that up there, and I was like, what? She was like, yeah, because he said he was single. I was like, okay, all right, we got to represent blackchristianmingle.com. So that's just for my people. That's, you might be out here looking. We don't know. And so, fellas, I want to leave us with this question, and on this thought. You can hit it if you want to. You can leave it in the air if you want to. But and a lot of the violence in our community, and a lot of the violence in our nation, in our state, I want people to always think deeper and to see past kind of what they blame as what's wrong with society. And this is one of the questions and the things that I think about when we think about this violence, especially when people go black on black crime. This is the first question that pops up in my mind. And so you can either just let it sink in, or you could choose to respond to it. There you go.
I don't know any.
No, I don't know nothing.
So if the answer is, then what's the answer?
0.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I do want to leave with this though, like with our recent gun violence here in Madison. This week was the first time I was driving in the car and was nervous, and it had nothing to do with the police.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like I second guessed taking the girls with me to go anywhere.
Oh, I can tell you, man, and this is just me growing up the way I grow up. When I'm in my car, I'm leaning back in between that panel, in between the driver's and the passenger side. I always have my head right where that panel is, because I never know, somebody might I might be a victim of mistaken identity. So it's been I've always taken those type of precautions, because I know we live in a trauma-filled world that instead of dealing with our trauma, they rather just put, weapons in our hands, right? I just wrote a song, and at the end of my verse, I said, so people always say this, man, y'all got the crab in the bucket mentality. First off, buckets aren't crabs' natural habitats. First off, right? So if I'm not in my natural habitat, that means somebody's pulled me out of my habitat. I am anxious.
Put me in this damn bucket.
And put me in this damn bucket. So guess what I am going to try to do? Of course, I'm going to try to get out the bucket, and I don't care who else in the bucket, because this is not where I belong. And so that's the thing that people aren't paying attention to. You got a crab in the bucket mentality. Crabs don't belong in buckets, sweetheart.
We got a question. We got a question from Prue. What black-owned planes bring drugs to the U.S.?
It's another one of those. I'm gonna go with that too. What do you got? So that's why I just ask people to think deeper, because it's easy to look and be like, oh, these black families and these black people and these black kids.
I literally just watched Straight Outta Compton again the other day, and he said that. He was like, we don't manufacture no guns. We don't have no plans to bring drugs over, but they're stuck right here in our community.
You ever watch Snowfall?
I was just gonna say that. I just finished that, and when I haven't watched that, that has got to be the closest resemblance to what went on during that time. I mean, and I'm not an '80s baby, but like,
it was. But when you saw it, you was like, for real?
No, so it made sense.
Yeah,
I mean, it made perfect sense.
Because you do that to the people you don't care about. Mm-hmm. You do that to the people you see as the bottom. Like, don't lie about it. Just be honest. Because then we can really deal with the results of that, right? Like people aren't stupid. They see it. Somebody gets addicted to opium. Oh, they're a victim. Let's get them some help. Crack. People on crack, they was criminals. They was violent. Lock them up. Because they look like us.
Right.
Like, so I just ask people to think deeper, look deeper, because like you guys said, like there's layers of trauma, man, that we got to undo. And for men, there's probably even extra more layers of trauma that we got to undo. Black men in America, more trauma that we got to undo. And so we just try to use this as a space, man, to start that conversation. So I appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight, man. Y'all got any parting words, any shout outs you want to give before we get up out of here?
If you haven't grabbed a copy of The Determination to Succeed, do so. Hit me up in my inbox. I still got some physical copies, and I will be ordering more so I can get out to the masses. And if you think that it would be beneficial to anyone or any organization, community group, or anything like that, let me know. I have no problem coming in to speak on it as well. So that is my plea to the community.
Shout out. You got any last shout outs? Anything? Marquise, you gotta.
Nah, man.
Man, you better shout out your son for sleeping so well early. You better shout him
lucky. Out. Your next child gonna have you up all night.
You better shout him out.
Well, of course, yeah. Shout out to Matt. But nah, my thing is, man, like we really need to, and I know it's kind of cliche, but man, we really need to come together and just try to figure out this trauma, man, and how we can heal. Man, I just feel like everyone's on so many different pages, and it's hard to come together. Unfortunately, I think Anissa, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, or Nissa. That's the first time that I've seen us unified on all fronts, and it should take a death of a 11-year-old girl for us to do that. So I hope this can be the beginning of something great.
Yeah. So, man. Yeah, man. She's bringing people together. She has brought people together, and it's unfortunate that it took for her life to be lost, for that to happen. So, right, we send in our prayers. We send in our love to your family. We send in our love to the community, and not just her family. Everybody that's lost someone to gun violence, gun violence, domestic violence here in the city of Madison. Like, we are community, and we only better the stronger that we are. The more we come together, that's the better that we'll be, because then we can begin to break some of these cycles with these young people, specifically with these young men who feel like anger and violence is their only release and their only outlet, because we know it's not, because we were there. Like you said, we all didn't have dads. We all didn't. But by the grace of God, we're standing here in front of you, talking to you via the internet. And like any young man that's watching this, or any young man that somebody shares this with, I want to let you know that these three brothers that you see right here are people that you can talk to, you can holler at, you can communicate with, and you can just come vibe with us, man. Because we gonna try to help you chart out a path. We ain't got to make one for you, but we want to help you chart out your path and see your success in life. So I just want to shout out everybody listening. Shout out to my executive producer, my wife. I appreciate her for supporting me and allowing me to use my gift and using Sunday evenings to share this with you guys. And yeah, fellas, and I want to let y'all know too, y'all two young men on this panel, I love y'all, man. And it ain't I'm just saying it as a we in passing because it's, you know, cool. Hey, love you, bro. Love you. Like, no, I genuinely love you, brothers, and I want the best for you. And I pray that you get the best, and I hope that you get the best. And so I appreciate y'all taking time out of your life to share with me. But straight up, like, if we gotta get better at that as men, saying I love you, right? Like, I do it with the young dudes all the time. I'll play one of my songs, right? And they'll be like, man, your little rap cool. No. Just say it's good. Like,
right.
We ain't gotta. Why we gotta try to finesse each other? It's good,
Right.
man.
Right.
Like, you dope. Like, if
I totally understand. I love and appreciate you guys, because like Marquise, you've been knowing each other at least the beginning of high school, probably earlier than that. Anthony, me and you have been rocking together since 2004, probably.
Yep.
Yeah. So of course.
Yes, and yeah. So let's support each other. Let's push each other. Stuff. That's why I'm sharing about his book. So whatever you got coming down the pipe, Marquise, I'm gonna share about it.
One thing. Shout out to Earl Lewis. He's getting ready to go to college in like a week and a half.
Eastside. All right, Earl.
Yeah,
is he gonna cut that mustache though? Like, cause I don't like the mustache.
It's up to him, but
it's super thick.
Yeah.
I love Earl. Earl and Davion, we're like really close in middle school. So I love Earl, and I'm love that he's continuing to work and go after what his dream was.
Yeah, absolutely.
If y'all got any money to spare, or
shout out to Earl.
I told Earl to hit me up to come see me before he leaves. I think he said he leaves the 23rd. I told him to come holler at me.
Yeah,
Cash App.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure you send them off the right way, man. Have them as prepared as possible for college. I know it's going to be a big step for them.
Definitely.
Hey, shout out to our youngsters, man, getting ready to go back to school virtually. Pray for our kids, man.
And the one that is leaving to go to school physically.
Pray for our kids, man, that they will stay connected, they will stay engaged, and that the district won't let our kids who are on the fringe just fall into the cracks. Because starting this year, if you're a freshman, sucks. If you're a sixth grader, sucks. Like it sucks. Starting virtually in a new school that you never so. Yeah, pray for our kids, Madison family. All right, hey fella, cause y'all just hold on a little bit once I hit end this live, so I can show y'all some love. But I thank everybody for checking in tonight. Share this video with a friend. It's also on YouTube. A&T the Hope Boy. You can subscribe to the channel. A&T the Hope Boy. So right there, it's down there. Subscribe to the channel so you can get updates when we're going live. Facebook Live. A&T the Hope Boy. I appreciate y'all very much. So why they asked me 2 times to